After a long hiatus, we are finally back. Welcome back to the Always Aggressive podcast. Fourth on panelist, head coach Tony Ersland, bringing you all of the action, and there's been a lot of it here from West Lafayette. As we are on the precipice, on the edge of the beginning of Big Ten season. Before we get there, and we will get there, we'll preview this weekend's road action at Nebraska and at Iowa. Before we get there, let's go back in time. Let's hop in the DeLorean.
Let's go back to last year.
Yeah, let's go all the way back to last year, and another trip to the Hawkeye State to take on the Cyclones. Coach had that really just freaking awesome concept of an awesome event in Humboldt. Take us back. How was? We know the results of the meet. We'll get to that too. But how was the entire experience from your standpoint?
Yeah, no, I love the fact that we did it, right? It took a lot of energy and effort and just perseverance to stay with it over the course of a few years through COVID, which we've talked about before. And to finally get there and you have the sold out gym and you got two quality teams wrestling, a lot of, ranked matchups. Well, it was a great event, great atmosphere to compete in. Obviously, near and dear to my heart. I saw people that I hadn't seen in decades, 20 years, probably classmates and just friends. And
we couldn't take him anywhere. It was crazy, Corey.
I believe it.
We couldn't take him anywhere. And the best part was, there were some people he recognized and some people he didn't.
It's like a parlor game.
Oh, it was great.
30 years out, since I graduated. So it was awesome in terms of the event itself and the atmosphere, and it will pay off for our kids. Obviously special to me, but the environment that our guys got to compete in and the quality competition, it will pay us back, as we wrestle through our Big Ten season and the NCAA tournament in March. So grateful and glad that we got to do it. You mentioned the results, disappointed in that. I felt good about it. We won 4 out of the first 6, and that was even having Kendall, give up the fall at 57, which none of us would have seen coming, right? But still to get 4 of the first 6, and we knew it was going to be very tight on the back end and the upper weights, but I think we lost 3 1-point matches that really cost us the duel in the upper weights. And so that was the disappointing part, and that was the only kind of damper on the night. Mm-hmm. You wanted to win bad, obviously, but still glad we had a chance to do it with everything going on in the world the last couple of years.
For sure. And I mean, to go even further, Tony, nothing from 65 up, if my memory serves me correctly, because we're talking, this was like 2 weeks ago, and, we're all a little fried after the holidays, but nothing from 65 up was decided by more than 2 points.
Yeah, it was tight matches all the way around, and we came up on the short end of the stick there. 74, was key in that. 97 heavyweight, 84 got away from us a little bit in that situation. But those 3 matches at 74, 97, and heavy, very competitive matches that we could have made go our way, and we were just a little short in a couple of situations. And so you come out of it looking for more consistency in winning those tight situations.
And that's one of those, the final team scored, it's a 10-point duel. It sounds worse than, like you say, you flip, one takedown or an escape or you flip one of those, it's a 6-point swing. You flip 2 of them, you win the duel.
That's literally how we felt, is you were going to need 2 of those last 4 right, going into the last part of the duel to win it, which was definitely in our capabilities with the guys we have. We're very good, on the back end. We've got 3 out of those 4 weights ranked, and I would expect heavyweight now, Michael Woulfe, as we move towards, when we competed up in Chicago, beat a couple of guys in the top 25 or so. So, we have good, solid guys up there. We're a little short. So we got to go work on that. And we've been working on that the last few weeks.
Couple guys to highlight from the Iowa State duel. Matt Ramos, had a really great come from behind victory over a very tough opponent. And the kid just continues to find ways to win.
Yep. He's slippery. he came out and scrambled out of a lot of tough situations and found ways to score, as you mentioned. And so you gotta give it to Matt in terms of finding ways to win. We needed to do that in the back end of the duel, and we're a little short. Matt's got things like everybody to work on, right? We want him to establish his offense a little better, but he's a good competitor, and he, as you mentioned, finds ways to be successful.
Other guy I definitely want to highlight at 165, Hayden Lowry, first career varsity start. And he goes into a very hostile environment. The tide had definitely swung in Iowa State's favor, and he went out and was able to right the ship and get a win at 165.
Yeah, that was very encouraging for a guy who hasn't been our regular, to go out. And was Kreiser, had Kreiser been a qualifier in the past?
I'm not positive, to be honest with you. I'm not
either. Transfer, though, from Campbell into Iowa State. I think
a very highly touted recruit.
Yes, very solid kid. So for Hayden to make his debut in that kind of environment against a quality competitor, I thought showed us a lot. People are going to see him probably a little bit more here through the Big Ten season, and we're excited to kind of see what he can do.
Absolutely. The thing that I found the most encouraging out of that was the fact that I had listened for whatever reason. I just happened to be in the position to hear you talk to him the night before at our workout, and you told him his double's going to be there.
Yep.
And coached him up, and he came out and he followed the game plan. He did exactly what you said, and his double was there, and he hit it twice, and that's what led to the victory.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. He executed well, as you said. He was able to follow a game plan and execute in the moment. Those are always two different things. To have a game plan that you can trust and believe in, and then the execution of it is sometimes quite another. But again, excited for him. Great win. He stepped up. He had his chance, and he made the most of the opportunity.
So, let's move on to what was a bit of an adventure following the holiday. Midlands / the Matmen Open / I don't even know what else to call it. But for those that don't know, in the week before, well, just days before, really, because I think it was like the 23rd, Northwestern announced that they were going to cancel the Midlands Championships. There were 30 some teams that were registered to go, coming from all over the country. And it definitely sent a huge wave of panic across the wrestling world. As somebody who was at Northwestern for a long time, Tony, when you got that news, I guess, where did your head go?
Yeah. So initially you see the tweet, right? And that's how we were notified. It was
via tweet
there, right? It wasn't even an email to us. It was just a tweet that said, "Hey,"
the email came like the next day,
right? Like one of those things. Your first initial reaction is, well, we need matches, right? I mean, we need to wrestle and we need to compete because we have a 15 match minimum to have an RPI, which is one of the prongs for us as a qualifier, right? You have to have a win percentage and an RPI, and you have to be ranked. And so my initial thoughts go to, we have guys who need matches, not everybody, but we have a number of individuals who need matches. So I made a call to the Northwestern coach to confirm what's going on and what they were thinking. And in fact, we found out, hey, this is canceled and we don't know what else will be going on. You guys are on your own, basically.
Good luck.
I started calling and contacting coaches in the Midwest who I thought on a short notice could maybe, want to find some competition. And so I started it was the better part of 24 to 48 hours of working on logistics for an event here at Purdue in Holloway Gym. But the date was available was the 30th. However, a lot of people at the bowl game, just lots of challenges, right, to overcome. It's the holidays and trying to get things done. So I think you and I, Tanner, spent probably better part of 2 days trying to get something done.
It was wild.
Couldn't get it done. And then
couldn't get it done, really.
Couldn't get it done.
There was no.
I was thinking, one kind of silver lining there might be that you got 29 other teams who are in the same boat as you. So maybe it'd be easier to find some folks.
Oh, there were a lot of dance partners. There were a lot of dance partners, Corey. There was just no place to dance.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. We couldn't host, right? Like it wound up being, we were going to be too short staff to host here with people at the bowl game and the holidays and the like. And so
this is all bowl game, Christmas / New Year's.
New Year's coming.
Every campus in the country's closed, and you've got 5 days notice.
Absolutely, right? And so we ran that down. I mean, and we had several teams. I mean, honestly, I had several teams, as Tanner alluded to. We had some dance partners, but you needed to find a place you could get together to conduct the matches, and that was proving to be the difficult part. And then you had Matmen, the website in Illinois, picked up what was Midlands and named it the Matmen Open, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of teams shifted in that way. Some bailed, but some shifted that way. And we thought, just in the interest of getting matches, we need to be up there. Now, of course, we didn't. If you paid attention to results, we didn't take our team. I think we had maybe half the starters or less, to tell you the truth. Yeah. And so went up there and competed and tried to make the most of what was obviously a tough situation.
For sure. And, like Tony said, Illinois Matmen picked up the event, kept it at the same venue. So we were able, for us, it was easy. We just had to rebook our hotels. We still had our Purdue rental vans, and, the per diem was all good and everything was all set to go. So it was easy for us, but there were schools like they told me Pittsburgh they had canceled everything and they had to rebook everything. Flights, hotels, everything, rental cars, everything. So it was wild to see. I was impressed that there was as many teams there as there were. Yep. Because
a tip of the cap. Yeah, I would give a tip of the cap, with Willie Saylor and Israel and all those guys out there who scrambled to put on an event, right, in days and pick it up. And especially with what's going on right now, I mean, the number of meetings that I've had the last 2 days there's cancellation of different events. There's been a few duels canceled. We saw what Arizona State and Michigan had to do. Basketball games, people are nervous right now, right? They're preparing for what could happen. And so just the fact that we did get matches in on short notice, hopefully is going to pay us off, at the end of the year, knowing what the qualification criteria is. So I am hopeful that it obviously was worth us going up and doing and will pay us off at the end of the year.
As Urs said, we only had 5 of the starters with us. And the good news on that is 4 of those 5 found their way onto the podium.
Yep.
We had Parker Phileas take 5th at 141 pounds. Garrett Ninehouse took 5th at 174. Michael Woulfe had a really nice performance, as you alluded to earlier. Took 5th place at heavyweight. And Kendall Coleman took 6th, reached the semifinals before medically forfeiting to 6th place. So it ended up 9th, and they kept a team score. So we ended up 9th in the team standings with half our starters. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, got to be pretty okay with that.
Yeah, for what it turned into, right? I mean, truly just making the best out of a tough situation. So the fact that we got to get up there, wrestle, and get some much needed matches in, especially for the varsity, was great. Obviously from a standpoint of overall, you want more out of the event. We had red shirts up there that I'm very high on and still high on with what they're going to be and do for us. But, there's some things there that we got to correct. We didn't get our hand raised quite enough to be, super pumped about it, but it did serve its purpose. And from what we were doing scrambling, it worked out all right.
Speaking specifically about Woulfe, you said, he went up there and he was looking for some signature wins. He came into the event leading us in pins. He had 4 going into it. Had some close losses to some good people, and hadn't really gotten over the hump. But got some opportunities against some guys and took full advantage. The two most notable victories we could mention would be number 26, Boone McDermott out at Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He got, former JUCO national champ, and he beat him. And then he also beat Jake Slinger from Pitt, who was ranked, I believe, 28th, somewhere in the high 20s. And he, I'm not sure which it was, but I'm pretty sure he had a really nice win already this season. I'd have to look up who he beat. But both of those, I feel, should pay off for Woulfe come time for NCAA qualifications.
Yeah, absolutely. For those of the people that don't know, 33, right? It's an odd number, but 33 are going into the bracket this year. And so when you have a couple of wins over guys who would be expected to be in that bracket, especially ones that you may not see again. Now, tournament, we've got a chance to see it at the Big Ten championships, but we don't dual Rutgers there. So that's nice from a seeding standpoint to have that win. And then the Pitt kid, as you mentioned, we won't see him until the national championship. So those are all good things, kind of, a little feather in your cap as you move through the year.
Absolutely. The other guy I'd like to mention, just to throw in there, 157-pound sophomore Cooper Norrie, one win shy of the podium at 157. He had a nice little run on the backside after losing an early one.
Yeah, dropped the first match to an eventual placer in a very, very tight match. I think that was a 1-point bout, and came back through, as you mentioned, strong. Had a tough blood round loss where he was up late in the third and got taken down and ridden out to kind of drop that match. But he's showing signs of improving and being a guy that we can count on. As again, when you go through this tough Big Ten season, you're going to have other people out there from time to time, right, with injuries or bumps and bruises. So he's proving to be a guy that we can count on to fill in and do a good job for us.
Absolutely. Corey, as somebody who was kind of watching from a distance as to what was going on, how did you digest the events of the holiday break?
There was probably some vulgarity in text back and forth with you. Just what the heck is going on? Kind of a tone to it. And at one point you're like, yeah, we might be hosting events. And I'm like, well, that sucks because we're not going to be able to live stream it because we don't have the personnel. So that, my thought immediately goes to how I can help, and I couldn't. So that really sucked. It was kind of fascinating. I started following a bunch of other accounts that I need to unfollow now just to see what was going on, to get the updates. And then I'm watching the live results, from rural Illinois on their Wi-Fi. And it was wild. It was cool to see, like you said, some guys, perform. It sucked not having our top end guys. I totally understand it, in the flow of the season and with bigger goals in mind than performing well at the Matmen Invitational or whatever the hell it was called. And God bless those guys for pulling it off. It's really awesome what they did. But Devin Schroeder's got bigger plans this year. So I get not running him out there. That totally makes sense. But yeah, it puts a lot of perspective on the results. Before we get too far away from Michael Woulfe, he had a couple good wins. He also had a good, I would say, I would call it a meaningful loss when, he hangs within a couple points of Luke Luffman, who's a top 12, top 15 kid. And he's a lot to handle. I know Woulfe gives up a lot of weight to a lot of dudes. He was giving up weight to Luffman, and he hung in with him. He acquitted himself pretty well against Hilger, it looked like. So he continues to be solid. And
the Hilger match was actually closer than the score appeared.
Yeah.
He made one mistake in the second and gave up some backs, but otherwise it was a pretty tight match.
Hilger, I would agree. Like he was right there in the Hilger match, especially where he did give up near fall. I mean, he wound up in that kind of crab ride high half situation, and while he was scrambling for the reversal, gave up 4 near falls. So that's from a coaching standpoint, if you correct that mistake in position, boy, that match tightens up. A 4-point near fall, it can tighten up pretty quick. So I think we walked out after that tournament feeling like he still is making, gains in the weight class. Honest, the guy's off for 5 years working, doing whatever, right, with the military. And then he's back and he's trying to knock the rust off and fill into the weight and continues to get a little bigger and put on more size. And so, I have some high hopes. You knock on wood, no injuries, but I really think he's figuring out how to wrestle even more effectively as an undersized heavyweight right now.
Yeah, it's exciting to watch him do his thing, and it's entertaining because he's very unorthodox. He gets into positions that many of us don't see very often or understand at all.
Yeah.
I heard
I had someone, it was Jim Bruner. Jim Bruner, if I remember correctly, texted me about Michael Woulfe's voodoo out on the mat. I think it was the way it was the voodoo magic. I think he said voodoo magic is what he had used. So if anybody hasn't seen him, he's got a very different style, very unorthodox, but he knows what he's doing and he's in control at all times of his wrestling. But yeah, it's fun to watch. And like I said, if you have not seen him before, he's a guy that's dangerous. You get him into these brackets, especially at nationals, or guys that don't know how to handle him. It's going to be tough. He's going to give you a tough look.
Yeah. I recall at some point, I believe it was actually at the Matmen Open, Coach Shop was saying something about like there was a position that Michael was in, and Coach Shop says, I can wrestle from there. I can do some funky stuff. I can wrestle from there. But he chooses to go there. And I don't understand that. He prefers to be in that situation, and that's just weird.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I think the funny thing about it is most people wouldn't choose to be there. Like even AJ can wrestle from some tough, funky situations, but a lot of guys get uncomfortable and that creates hesitation and what do I do? And for a guy like Woulfe, man, he's dragging you into kind of his match then, right? And that's where what we all aspire to do is put our opponent in our positions in tough spots.
His positions just happen to be very different from everyone else.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, we turn the page. We move into 2022, and the Big Ten season is rapidly approaching. We leave tomorrow to fly out to your old stomping grounds, going to Lincoln, Nebraska for a duel on Friday with the 9th-ranked Huskers. A 7 p.m. start, going to be streamed on B1G Plus. Should be a great matchup between Purdue and Nebraska.
Again, a lot of really good matchups out there up and down the lineup, a lot of ranked kids. Going to be a lot of tight matches too. It's a duel where if one team can grab the tight ones, if we can find a way to get the close ones to go our way, you're going to be in a good spot. So I'm sure we got a tall task because they're both good quality teams, but I like, the way the team's prepared and where they're at as we enter Big Ten season.
A couple matchups particularly to point out just because they're between really highly ranked guys on both sides. At 57, you got Kendall Coleman and Peyton Robb, which should be a good one. And then if you move,
that's a rematch of the Big Ten finals at 157 pounds a couple years ago. Out of semifinal. I'm sorry. Thank you. Semifinal. Yes, match 2 years ago. Got it.
That was so that one it has some teeth to it. And the other one would be at 197 where you've got Thomas Panola and Eric Schultz. Should be two great matches that'll have huge impacts on where the duel goes.
Yeah, again, like those are going to be tough, gritty matches, and those are the kind of matches I guess I'm talking about. But even those, they're up and down the lineup. We highlight those two But you had Devin and Cronin just last year, very tightly, hotly contested match. I think if you just look at rankings, Chad Red, Parker Filius at 141. They're just everywhere. Like that's why these duels are fun. This was what makes the Big Ten, because everywhere you look, in my opinion, you look, man, there's ranked matchups. Nienhouse and Labriola, Vens and Max. I'm telling you, there's just so many good matches. It's hard for me just to highlight two, I guess, and roll with that.
That's fair. That's fair.
That is fair. This will be the first time Devin and Cronin are going since Big Ten's last year, right? Where Devin got that semifinal win and did a very uncharacteristic Devin trash talk at the end.
Things were a little chippy in that one.
Fantastic. I loved it.
Yep. Devin's a competitor. You love him, give him some ammunition. Yeah, and then we didn't get a chance to see the Cronin kid out at Vegas. Nebraska was there, but Cronin wasn't in the bracket. I don't know if he was sick or injured. He had missed that. So this will be the first time we've seen him this year.
Well, he's Nebraska got 6 matches on the year, so he's missed some time.
And Nebraska did list 2 probable starters at 125. So it'll be interesting to see if he is back or not.
Yeah, well, and these are all probables, right? Like we've still got days ahead of us to get everybody there and down to weight, and you just don't, in today still, right? We're still in the middle of this craziness, the variant and everything. You don't know, so we got to get everybody through the next 3 days down to weight and out on the mat, and you hope that these are the matchups you get.
For sure. Going to Sunday. Finally got a time on this duel. The BTN was holding the duel at Iowa because they were waiting on some of the football schedules and what was going to be going on in the rest of the sports world. But it'll be a 2 p.m. Central start at Carver Hawkeye against the top-ranked Hawkeyes. Another place that you seem to be somewhat familiar with, Coach Ersland. This is the we're doing the full Ersland history tour.
Tony Ersland,
yeah, this is
your
really
life.
Strange, right? Like this is really strange how this has worked out, even to me, as you talk about this, because we were in my hometown, right? 19 years of my life before I went off to college or whatever. Then Nebraska was 8 years as a coach, and then my undergrad at Iowa. Those are the last 3 duels we've had. Will kind of be at some of my longest stops, I guess, in the wrestling world. So yeah, it's kind of funny the way that works.
Absolutely. First and foremost, would like to send our well wishes to Spencer Lee on the heels of some, terrible news for the wrestling world as he announced that he's going to miss the rest of the season. He's going to have surgery on his knee. Said it didn't respond the way that he hoped it would, and he's going to hold off and get ready for next year or for the freestyle season. But otherwise, I mean, Iowa still obviously has a very, very tough lineup.
Yeah, no doubt. They're good up and down. It usually comes with their ranking. And so, and you're going to be in a hostile environment, but again, we've talked about that this week. Like, I've told the team, I think like, hey, just be ready. You're going to have 15,000 people calling you for stalling, be ready. Like that should be good. Yes. Like you should be excited for that. You should be like, yeah. All right. Good, man. Good. Let's go. Let's be excited about it. And let's embrace that, because that's why you come to college, is to wrestle in those kind of environments, good opponents in a great environment, a lot of noise, a lot of excitement. And so I think it's important that our guys embrace that. And want that, like you want that, I'd want to get booed, I'd want, whooping tail and getting booed or, whatever, so.
You're not getting booed. You're not doing it right.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. But it should be great. A place that appreciates wrestling. And to your point about Spencer, obviously disappointing. I would echo kind of your thoughts there. Obviously we spent time trying to beat, with Devin. That's your last 2 Big Ten finals. And so they have a strong history, but a lot of respect for him as a competitor. and kind of who he is, as a wrestler. So I, sorry to see that, and we wish him the best in the future.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Obviously, like you said, you can go up and down the lineup with great matchups in that duel. You've got, Matt Ramos is going to get a chance to wrestle Austin DeSanto, which should be really interesting. You've got Caleb Young and Kendall Coleman at 57. You've got, I don't think Nienhouse is going to see Kemmerer, but I mean, you also got Nelson Brands, and you've also, they got a young man who just placed out at the Southern Scuffle that's in the depth chart at 174. So, Abe Assad, Max Lyon, Jacob Warner, Thomas Panola. Good Lord, there's going to be some good matches in that one, and it'll lucky enough that it's gonna be on television, and hopefully we can go in there and have a good time.
No, absolutely. And that's, like I said, that's been, kind of what we've talked about as a team too. Like, yes, those environments, they're hostile in terms of the crowds rooting against you, but man, they're tremendous environments to compete in. And that's what you want. As a wrestler, you want to be in those kind of atmospheres, and they do get you ready, and you do just got to make sure that you're up for it and you enjoy it. That's something, again, end of the year, you get into those big matches at NCAAs and Big Tens, loud crowds and lots of energy, man, that's the mentality I'm looking for from guys. We want that stuff.
Absolutely. The funny thing about our schedule this year, Tony, is we go on this long trip, which, it's going to be, we're going to fly to Omaha. We'll be picked up by a bus, and then we will ride that bus to Lincoln, on to Iowa City, and then back home to West Lafayette. So it will be a lot of miles, a lot of hours in transit. But the payoff is the only other trips we have the rest of the dual season are to Indiana and to Northwestern. So it's going to be an interesting Big Ten schedule the rest of the way.
Yeah, that is funny. The Big Ten gave us a lot of travel, obviously with this weekend early coming out of the box. But then, as you mentioned, at home for Michigan State, one duel on the weekend is all. Then we catch, Illinois on a Friday, Wisconsin with hoops and headlocks on a Sunday afternoon. You bounce down to IU. You back at home with Minnesota. And then 2 weeks later after that, we got Northwestern on the road to wrap it up. So, my message again to the team is don't blink. It's going to be gone quick, right? Like, you gotta value this and cherish this, because it's going to disappear on us. And we just want to make sure we make the most out of these opportunities that are left.
Absolutely. Corey, anything else for this week on your docket there?
I don't think so. We got through everything. Did you guys get everything you wanted from Santa Claus?
My kid did. Good Lord.
Then you did too.
That's all I can say too, is my kids had a great Christmas. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You get to be our age, boys, and that's all that matters, right?
Hey, I got some new underwear. I'm good to go.
Yeah, thank God for that.
I got some Starbucks gift cards. People who know me well, right? Those Starbucks gift cards are pretty important. So I'll take that as a solid Christmas. That's
good. That's good. My wife got me beer. I don't know what she's trying to tell me. Yeah, I've got a problem, or I need to drink more. One or the other.
Flip a coin. You're good.
Let's
either
go. Why can't it be both?
It could be.
Hey, travel safe. Good luck this week, and we'll crank it back up next weekend and every week from here on out on the Always Aggressive podcast. Thanks for joining us. Till next time, Boiler up.